How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Stoppage Time Stooges podcast. I'm back. It's Andrew with Christian, Jacob, sans Ricardo this week, but we're just switching places. We're switching places. That's what's going on. It's a busy time in our jobs. All right, we're switching places, but this week, with the end of the transfer window looming, we're going to talk a lot of transfers. This will be a transfer-heavy episode of STS. We'll talk a little of our team's actions in our respective leagues as well. But, boys, how are we doing?
I'm good. I can't complain. Good. Jacob?
Better than Victor Osimhen.
That may change.
Or I should say his agent.
You think he's pulling a Jordan Montgomery of Scott Boras here? I think that's kind of how
he's going to fire him.
I don't know. Looking like Scott Boras made the right deal because Jordan Montgomery is going to lock into a $25 million player option for next season. So I don't know. I think Boras was right. Are we criticizing the agent too much?
I guess the lesson is make sure you get to spring training.
Yeah,
but that's a baseball analogy. Anyway, I'm doing fine.
Yeah, cool, good. I'm glad you're better than Victor Osimhen's agent at the moment. But we have a ton of transfers to talk about. We have got them kind of listed and rank of importance. So first, we'll talk about potentially the most impactful transfer in the not only the Prem, but possibly the world. We got Ilkay Gundogan going back to Manchester City on a free transfer from Fragilona. FC Fragilona, all because they wanted to register Dani Olmo. They needed the money to register Dani Olmo. They needed to clear some wages. And they said, Ilkay Gundogan, you're making too much. And they axed him. That is borderline disgraceful from Barcelona. But hey, he gets to be in a better situation. He gets to be with his boys again. Man City we talked all last season about how much they missed Ilkay Gundogan. All last year. And now he's back. And it just, I already had them retaking the Prem for the 5th straight year. But this just strengthens it even more. How do you guys feel about this?
Jacob?
Well, everybody knows I am the biggest Ilkay Gundogan fan that there is. I think he's tremendous. I think that any club would be very lucky to have him. I think he does a bit of everything. I think that going forward, he's not your typical 10, but he could be a 10. And I think that he does enough defensively. Not a lot, but I think he can do enough defensively to clean up. He's like your perfect 8, in my opinion. Perfect 8. And to me, him with Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri is the best midfield in the world. I think it is.
Yep.
Now, I don't think that they're just going to give him his spot back. It all depends on Rodri's health at the moment. And, Kovacic looked pretty good against Chelsea. So I don't think they're just going to hand it to him. But I think eventually he'll be right back in the fold. And I think it's going to be like he never left. I mean, if you've seen the videos, the smile on the guy's face, he looks like he'd never be happier. And if you're Barcelona, look, I get it. Dani Olmo was really good with his 3 or 4 goals in the very goalless Euro 2024. But really, Dani Olmo, we need him. I just don't think Dani Olmo's a better soccer player than Ilkay Gundogan. I don't know. I think he's younger, so I get it from that perspective. But this is
the Spanish effect too. That's a big deal too.
Yeah, I get that. But I feel like Ilkay Gundogan was one of their only bright spots last year when they had a lot of drama, despite not being nearly as bad as I think it seemed. But again, Man City, the fact that they got this done on a free transfer is the biggest mind-boggling aspect of this to me. The fact that he could just go back for free I mean, are you kidding me, Barcelona? Now, this isn't as bad as PSG letting Mbappe go for free. No, I don't think anything will ever top that. But this is bad from a financial business standpoint. I mean, if you have the fact that they have their books so messed up, it's one thing if you want to sell Gundogan, you don't think he fits into the new manager's scheme. That's a different argument. But you can't let him go for free. You got to get something back. So if I was a Barcelona fan, I would not be very happy about this.
It shows how desperate they were to get rid of him. I mean, not because he was bad for them. It was a bright spot for them last year. It was just like they just really needed to clear their wages. They were so desperate to get Dani Olmo in there. They're like, City, just take him back. And now I can root for him again. Christian, how do you feel?
I think the biggest loser of this is Mateo Kovacic, who scored on match day one, had done enough to deserve a starting position, and all of a sudden that's gone. I mean, maybe not right now, but I think, let's say come October, I think Gundogan's a clear starter. I think that's clear to me. Jacob, everything you said about him as a positional need for them is spot on. He's a number 8 who can, add goals as well. So he's a year older, and I thought he was pretty good for Barcelona last season. I don't really see a drop off from 2022 to 2024. I think this is an excellent signing. It's on a free, and the rich get richer. It's a situation where City is the best team in England. Maybe I'd probably argue right now the best team in the world. Yeah. I don't see how this goes wrong for City. As for the Barcelona side, it's a shame as a neutral of the sport, watching a team like this have to budget so tightly all the time, because Dani Olmo's good and he's had a lot of injuries. It makes sense as to why they wanted to bring him in. He's already scored a winner, by the way. It's just, you wish that a club of that stature could figure out a way to figure out these wages and all the financial stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Obviously, I know as Andrew and Ricardo, Real Madrid fans here, are soaking up anything that goes wrong with Barcelona. But
I mean, we're pretty bad right now.
Yeah, but it seems like Barcelona is going to be doing this year after year where, okay, let's bring in a superstar or a high-level player, but, hey, we have to let 2 go in order to make that happen. And by the way, they also just lost another midfielder to a major ACL injury. So, a weak point for them could get even weaker. So, yeah, I think Barcelona is not in a great position. Obviously, a good start to the season in the league. But, yeah, this is an A++ signing for Manchester City that will definitely reap benefits this season and for seasons moving forward.
And for City, this is someone who knows Pep's system, doesn't need to learn it. It's just a plug and play player. So it's absolutely perfect on all fronts for them and for the player. But yeah, no, Barcelona, I mean, it's been a problem for years. To be honest, I don't see this ending in the foreseeable future. It's going to take a while for them to get back into good financial shape. I mean, talk about the whole Nike situation as well. Them basically begging for more money. Because they need money in any way they can. Them waiting for Camp Nou to open back up because more seats. That's a big deal as well in the stands. They need ticket sales. They're right now playing in a smaller stadium. So it's a rough time for Barca. Be better I know Ricardo is a very spiteful person. I am too. You know how much I shit on Barcelona, but it's a lot better when Barcelona and Madrid are on equal fronts. Mm-hmm. The peak Ronaldo Messi era was one of the greatest times in football history, and man, I wouldn't kill for that again because Madrid is clearly better. We've won Champions League now and everything, but Just the aura. That's all I got to say. All right. Moving on to the other team in Manchester. They made some big moves this summer. We talked a little bit about Matthijs de Ligt a couple weeks ago when that was rumored. That became official. And now they have signed Manuel Ugarte from PSG. How do you guys feel about this?
I think this is a good move. We didn't really see a lot of him last season at PSG. So at the club level, kind of, you know what he is like player wise, but how will he fare in the Premier League is still unknown. But at this point, for us reacting to this, it's a position of need, and it's a much more athletic player in that position to a Casemiro who, at this stage of his career, shouldn't be playing a full season. I know we talked off air about his performance against Fulham, his performance against Brighton. It's kind of a mixed bag so far. So I think this is great. Again, he's got to prove himself in the Premier League, but he had a solid Copa America, and I fully expect him to, be a big player for them in the near future. This is the right position to be adding, and hopefully for a Manchester United team that needs depth in a lot of different positions, he can be a nice piece there in that midfield.
Internationally, he plays Bielsa ball. I feel pretty confident to say he'll be fine in the Prem. Jacob.
I like it. I think it's a really good deal. I think that United have been searching sort of for this sixth holding midfield player because they've seemingly lost faith with Casemiro, even though, and I know I've been defending him, they made him play center back a lot last year, which is not his position. And when you put someone at a position that isn't their position, especially someone older who hasn't played that position, it's probably not going to go well, especially if he's playing next to Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof and just, real garbage defenders. So I don't know. I think that's been lost sight of when we talk about Casemiro's play last year. But they wanted to get younger. Ugarte is certainly, I think, younger than Casemiro, and he's a true six. He's going to really do a good job of defending in front of the back line, and I think he'll do that well. But again, my biggest concern with United is that their transfer policy has been, let's try and hunt as many B+ players as we can. And not because these are bad players, but they're not great players. And I think that's why they're not getting better. They're not in the top 4. They're not challenging for the league. They spend a lot of money, but they don't. But when they do spend, they really put the hammer down. It's not on someone good enough. It was on Sancho. It was on Anthony. It was on, I'm blanking on certain people, but it's not enough. And it's not enough for certain players. It's not irresponsible spending, in my opinion. It's not like, wow, like they're just throwing it. It's not Chelsea spending. It's not throwing everything against the wall until it sticks. But it's just a little underwhelming from the standpoint of, like what Man U are supposed to be about. I think, and this isn't about Ugarte, this is just in general, but I think he'll be good. I think that he'll fit well with their midfield. I would assume that they're going to play with 3 with Bruno, Fernandes, Koopmeiners, and him. I would assume that's their 3. Now, Ten Hag's been playing Fernandes as this false 9. I don't understand why.
Mason Mount.
I mean, you signed.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to talk about Mason Mount. They signed Xerxes. He doesn't even use him in the Community Shield. Which is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen, especially when you're going to penalties and you let Johnny Evans decide your fate. I mean, I know this is old news, but really? And then, guess what? He scores a goal to win you the first game of the season. I mean, I get it. He's young. He's semi cost them the game against Brighton with the mistake. But I don't understand this whole Bruno at the 9. I hope that they start Xerxes this weekend. I think they should. But with United, it's just, you hope that this works out, and you hope that it's not just good for 1 year. They've had a lot of guys that look really good in short spurts of time, but not for the long haul. Lastly, this guy in place of McTominay is obviously, I guess, an upgrade. But I think losing McTominay is a bigger deal than people realize because he's very good off the bench. He always gives you a spark. He just finds ways to impact the game. Ways that I don't think Ugarte can do as far as goals. So I'm a little worried about that, but overall, I think that they had to do this. So good job.
We'll get to more on Scott McTominay later. We have a banner ready for Napoli and their moves, but no, you gotta wonder, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, is he worried more about the Old Trafford?
Don't get me started on him.
Renovation or new stadium? Is he more worried about that than the signings?
This is Ineos. Fix the stadium. Only appoint English people to the board.
Well, now David Ornstein's saying, he wants to build a new stadium on the site of Old Trafford. He wants to demolish the current Old Trafford and build a new stadium.
That'll go over just great with the fans.
I know, right? Well, yeah. So there's some contention with that on the board. Some are saying no, just renovate the stands, add new stands. But no, Sir Jim, he wants to bulldoze it. So let's see what happens there. But this is Man U. They should be in contention for the best players in the world, top class players. And Jacob made a very good point. They're going for B+ players. Honestly, they should have been in the Victor Osimhen hunt all along. That would have been, I think, perfect. Now they went another direction, of course. It's what they believe in. But that would have been just the splashy Man U signing of old that would have, I think, brought them back to some relevance. But I think they're content with being in the top 7. And I think that's not how you should think as a club in the Premier League. You should be thinking to be you should be thinking about trying to overthrow Man City, who again and again is consistently at the top. And Arsenal's tried to challenge them, to their credit, but they can't find a striker. So we'll see what happens with United. But moving on, Crystal Palace, Marc Guehi. Marc Guehi was rumored for a big move after a very impressive Euros with England this summer. Just announced new report that he's going to be staying at Crystal Palace for the foreseeable future. Is this a good move? Is this a bad move? I have some reserved opinions about this, but
can I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I just think if you're Crystal Palace, I understand how good Marc Guehi's been for your club, and I understand how good of a player Marc Guehi is. I'm a big fan. But when you get offered 75 million for a center back, even now, you take it. You take that money and run. That's how much Van Dijk cost Liverpool. Harry Maguire went for 80 million. You think Leicester's happy they took that money when they did? I can assure you that they are. And this isn't because I'm predicting that Marc Guehi's going to fall off the map and have a really bad year. I don't think that's going to happen. And I understand that, it's late in the window and this and that, and he's important to your team. That's great. But when you're a smaller club like Crystal Palace, they're not like a bottom of the barrel club, but they're a smaller club. When you get offered that much money for one of your best players, I think you should take it. I just do. And I completely get why Newcastle wanted Marc Guehi. The back has been their Achilles heel in many regards, with their center halves especially not being good enough. And I just think it seems like the heat is on with Eddie Howe, that it's like his job. It seems like people want him to be under pressure when, I don't know. I mean, you have to remember where Newcastle came from in recent years, which I think people are starting to forget because they have a lot of money now. But overall, I think from a business perspective, this is not smart by Crystal Palace, because when you get that much offered for a center back, you probably should take it. Even in general, for one of your players. I mean, Newcastle aren't going to be able to, Crystal Palace aren't going to be able to sell a lot of players for that much money. I don't think Olise went for that much money.
I believe it's 60, 65.
Okay, yeah. That's a lot, but still. it's still under what this would be. And if you're Crystal Palace, you better be in the top 10 this year. At least you better be hovering around that top 10, because if you're not, then this is not worth it.
You're right. I don't think anything you said is wrong. I think the reason, and I said this before, I think the reason why they decided to hold on to him is because of the injuries at the back. And I think I'm assuming that the Crystal Palace board is looking at the season and saying, you know what, Oliver Glasner, we want to see how this project can progress with as good of a squad as possible. Because, again, they were excellent at the last, 8-10 games of last year. And that's why everybody was so excited about Crystal Palace, maybe can get into a top 10 position this season. I don't think that ambition is gone. I know they've lost their first 2 games. It's only 2 games. Obviously, you would like a good start, but they lost Joachim Anderson, went to Fulham. One of the center backs they bought this summer, Chadi Riyad from Real Betis, injured. So that would have left them, if Marc Guehi had gone, it would have left them with Chris Richards and Rob Holding. Now, as American fans, we like Chris Richards, but
Rob Holding, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yeah, he's bounced around. He signed, I believe, on a permanent from Arsenal this summer. So I just don't think if Marc Guehi left, given how important he is to them, how good he was at the Euros, he's only 24. I don't think this value is going to go away. I think if things had been done differently, where maybe Joachim Anderson stays, he might have gone. Again, I think everything you said, Jacob, spot on. Not taking $75 million for a player when Crystal Palace is the club that they are, and can certainly reinvest that into 2, 3, maybe 4 players. There's definitely a risk in that, but I think Crystal Palace looks at the season and says we should be finishing in the top 10. And in order to do that, I think Marc Guehi needs to be there. So I understand both ends of this, but I think Crystal Palace, certainly making a risky decision here, not selling him at probably his peak value.
The other thing we have to consider too is Marc Guehi wasn't forcing a move.
That is true.
So if he was forcing a move, I would imagine it would have gotten done. But Glasner said he spoke of Guehi and said he's focused on Palace. So they were like, okay, let's keep him. Overall, I do agree. It's a little outrageous to not take the $75 million. But I mean, you got to figure it's a center back. He'll probably, hopefully, stay at the same level entering next season. Hopefully there isn't a drop off. So I don't know. I agree. But he didn't force the move, so.
Yep.
That's a good point.
Moving on to Liverpool. Christian. Chiesa. Oh my God.
We made a move?
Well,
am I here?
Yeah, well, FSG makes the move when it's under 20 million. So
that they sold that. Who was that guy? Carvalho for
Carvalho. They sold Vandenberg to Brentford, and they sold Bobby Clark to RB Salzburg.
How much was Carvalho worth?
I think the price was larger than the one for Chiesa.
Brentford of all teams. Brentford of all teams paying that much money for someone that, whatever. I don't know.
I think we're at 13 million for Chiesa. Add-ons make it 15.
Yeah.
Christian, your instant reaction.
I love it. This is a player that was the standout for Italy at the 2021 Euros. Again, injuries have played a large portion of why that price has dropped year after year since then. But he's only 26. He's not going to be asked to play week in, week out. I don't really know where he fits in on the depth chart in terms of those forwards. Because, again, Jacob, I know you said it in the group chat this week. Liverpool can field 2 front threes and be very good. Cody Gakpo excellent for the Netherlands at the Euros. Darwin Nunez is a player that has difference in opinion, but still a very, threatening striker. And Federico Chiesa is still a good player. Again, I know he's missed a lot of time, but last year he played 37 matches. So, the durability question mark maybe is going to drift as the season goes on. He's a backup to Mo Salah. He's going to be, a really strong player off the bench. And, we talk about, all these kinds of players. Scott McTominay, Jacob mentioned before. Teams at the highest level do need players who are capable of providing something different off the bench. I think Chiesa can do that. So overall, at that price, I absolutely love it. It's smart business for a player that's still got a lot left in the tank. He's only 26. It's not like we're signing a player coming off multiple injuries who's now in his early 30s. He's still got plenty to go, and it seems like he's really excited for the opportunity. So I think this is really smart business for Liverpool, regardless of, what people think of him over the last couple years.
I've always said this about Liverpool under the FSG ownership. They may not spend the most money, but they always make smart moves. Always the right move. I mean, know this firsthand. Signing McAllister from us.
Don't get me started how cheap that
for almost 35 when we sold Alexis McAllister, who was probably more important to Brighton than Moises Caicedo, who was then sold for 115 million to Jacob's Chelsea. But they always make the smart move, and I mean, they have one of the best rosters in the Premier League, one of the best squads. So testament to that, whatever you say. Jacob, how do you feel?
I agree with Christian for the most part. I think that it's a good signing because I don't think that he's going to play a huge part in this team. The only way I think he does is an injury. And he's, I guess, the Salah backup. And we know the Salah does not like to be taken out of games. Every time he does, he rips that thing off furiously and, doesn't look at the manager. And, So, I mean, I think he's a good depth because, one, Liverpool are going to be in a lot of competitions, the Champions League, the domestic cups in England. So they need depth. And also, I guess, it's cheap. It's not a lot of money. And I don't think Chiesa is worth a lot of money. I really don't. I think he's a nice player. I think that he benefited a lot from one good tournament. And that's happened a lot. And it hasn't always, rung true for the club level. Those results don't necessarily always lead into that. But I think it's good. I think it's pretty low risk, pretty high reward. And if he's not good, it's not that big of a deal, to be honest with you. It's the only way it's a big deal is if there's a major injury to one of the front three players and he has to play and he doesn't play well. Then it's a problem. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to be that big of it's not going to be that big of a problem if he doesn't play very well. I don't know how long the contract is.
It's 4 years.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I think that he'll be good off the bench. My thing is, I wonder how much he's going to play. That's my question. Because are you really going to take out an entire front three? And if you don't, are you going to pick him over Nunez and Gakpo?
That's a good point. Yeah,
I wouldn't. Although to be fair, Slot didn't even play Nunez in the first game of the year, so I who knows. But that would be my thing. If you're Chiesa, you better be patient because there's a good chance there are going to be a handful of games where you don't get your number called. And you're going to have to live with that. But I think that overall, I think this is a smart, low risk, high reward move.
Yeah. Juve, we'll get to Juve later. We got a few moves that we want to talk about with them. I did not mean to put it up, but I guess we can talk Juve now. You know what? Why not? We got two moves, 10 Koopmeiners, and we also have Nico Gonzalez. I have two banners here, but we'll kind of just alternate when we talk about them. First, I'll talk Koopmeiners, though. I mean, my point about Juve, though, another team in financial distress at the moment, not the same club. that they used to be. You can blame it on Cristiano Ronaldo and his wages, but I mean, kind of a similar situation as Barcelona right now. They're trying to keep the books low while trying to compete in the top 4 of Italy. So, Christian, how do you feel about Koopmeiners and then Nico Gonzalez trying to help that out?
I think Thiago Motta has done an unbelievable job already. It's looking really strong, and the biggest reason why is probably because of all the players he was willing to get rid of and the players that he's trusting in. One of them being Dusan Vlahovic, who is off to a fantastic start this season. Midfield is totally different. Rabiot's gone. Weston McKennie is in the squad but not playing. He's gone with Thuram, who they signed from, I believe, was Nice. Douglas Luiz, who actually was on the bench for the last match, but
which surprised me that he was not starting. Yeah.
And now Koopmeiners, who was Atalanta's best player last season and one of the huge reasons why they won the Europa League. I think this is, again, really good business. The fee is warranted, but I think Thiago Motta, what he's done well is finding a good balance of senior players and trusting in academy guys who have come up and already made an impact. There's a couple guys from Juventus Next Gen that have already scored. I think there's like 5 or 6 different goal scorers already for Juventus. So, Koopmeiners adds goals from the midfield. That will help. I do think there's a title race this season in Serie A. That might be a little bit of an interesting take. I know a lot of people do believe that Inter is going to kind of run away with it again. Motta already has shown enough to me. And then you add in the players he's been able to bring in. I think they're in a great position to be a threat, at least, to Inter this season. And I think Koopmeiners will play a big role in that.
Yeah, I agree for the most part. I think that this is a good signing. I think if you're Juventus and you can have a midfield 3 of Koopmeiners, Douglas Luiz, and
Thuram.
Yeah. I think that's a good midfield, especially if you put Koopmeiners right behind Vlahovic as your 10. You mentioned a lot about Motta. He seems like he's someone that was ready for this job, was worthy of this job, and I think Juventus probably feels like we finally have a young manager that we can grow with for an extended period of time, which they've wanted for a long time, I would say. And they've sort of been trying to find. Allegri had a different style that is very different from Motta's style. It was effective, but not as, I guess, appeasing to the eye.
Yep.
And
pure terrorist
to the board. I think that Juve, it's interesting because I see that some of the people in their 11, I'm like, I've never heard of these people. I'm like, this guy on the left, this guy on the right. I'm like, who the hell are? I'm just bewildered because I've just never seen these guys before. But something is working. I will say this before we get on the Thiago Motta high horse. It's still early. It's a long season. I still want to see him. I need to see how he does against the really good teams in the really important matches. It's one thing to do well at Bologna. It's another thing to beat Inter or beat AC Milan or Roma when you're the manager of Juventus. I also want to see how he does in European competitions because I think that's really important. So that's my only pause at the moment. I just want to see him get challenged in a big way, and I want to see how they respond. But overall, I think that Juve have had a good summer. It seems like they have a plan. They have a vision that everybody's on the same page. I think that was also one of their biggest problems, that the manager wasn't always on the same page with the board. And there was a lot of confusion about no, we want this player. No, I don't. And a lot of tossing and turning in that regard. But overall, I would say that Juventus are on the right track.
Yeah. Oh, God, I just had a point that I was going to make. That's not good. Brain fart. Oh, yes. Thiago Motta. What had me excited right away was him starting Tim Weah at right wing. And then he got hurt. After scoring a goal. after scoring too.
That's the miracle. Is that he scored a goal. The miracle is that he scored a goal.
It was a golazo.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Off the post, off the crossbar, yeah. Unfortunately, he's out for a few weeks. But Thiago Motta, promising start for Juve. They got Champions League play again this year. They're back, so we'll see how they perform in Europe. But overall, yeah, I agree. Good summer, trying to keep it cheap. They have somewhat. So here's the thing. Here's the difference between them and Barca. Barca does not have a plan at all to try to get out of their debt. Juve is playing it smart, keeping it low-key for a few years. I think they'll be back in a big way. I think they'll be back sooner than Barca to the Juve they once were. Moving on. Let's stay in Italy, shall we? Let's talk about Napoli. Jacob mentioned we were talking Scott McTominay a little bit before, but we talked about it from the Man U perspective. Now we talk about it from the Napoli perspective. They get Scott McTominay, and they sign permanently. Finally, he gets a permanent move from Lukaku from Chelsea. So Jacob, as the Conte guy in this stream, how do you feel?
These are like all my worlds colliding all at once. I'm happy that I don't have to worry about Romelu Lukaku every summer. Where is he going to be loaned out to? What are they going to do with him? I'm glad that's over. I wish it could have worked out. I remember when they signed him. I was very happy. I was very excited. Got off to a great start. He scored against Arsenal. He kissed the badge. And then he missed his old girlfriend. He missed Italy. He had remorse. And then everything went downhill from there. That's what happened. And I wish it wasn't the case. I wish it could have worked out, but it didn't. I wish they could have got more money for him, but I'm glad it's over. That's why they couldn't sell him, because they were annoyed about the price. I think they should have just set on 35 instead of, they was like, we want 40, they want 30. I'm like, just give them 30, make it 35 and call it a night. But that's what happened. A lot of add-ons, so I'm really confused about the price. There's like either 15 million in add-ons.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what those entail. But this is Antonio Conte's guy. This is the guy that he turned around at Inter Milan and made one of the, for I'd say a 24-month period, one of the best strikers in the world. And if he can rekindle any of that back, then I think Napoli is going to be in good shape. Now, getting McTominay is good. I think they got him for only like 30 million, which I think is a pretty good price. They need a lot more. They need an overhaul. They need a lot of players, which is why I said, I think our last episode, that if they wanted to sell Victor Osimhen to Chelsea, they can do that, and they can take back a couple of Chelsea players. That way they can, I don't know, somehow balance the books. I would say we could give them Sterling and Chilwell. Antonio Conte loves wingbacks. That's what makes his systems work. Ben Chilwell would be perfect for Antonio Conte soccer. I know it. Probably not going to happen, but I wish that could be done. I know it's weird to have like a 3-for-1, but considering how off all these wages are, I think it actually would balance the books a bit. Should we talk about Osimhen yet? Or yeah. So this whole Victor Osimhen saga, in the beginning, I think most people were on his side, saying that Napoli were treating him very poorly, and he was being wronged for various things with the social media, racial thing that was very misguided and just offensive with the monkey thing or whatever that was. But now the problem is that Victor Osimhen wants a lot of money. He wants the same contract he has at Napoli, which is, I forgot the exact numbers, but it's a lot. It's like an absurd amount a week, absurd amount a year. He wants a lot of money. And I think he's doing a lot of damage to his career by not taking less money. Because if I'm him, I want to play for a big club in Europe. I don't want to go to Saudi Arabia. I understand the money's great and we all want money. Fine. You're going to get money no matter where you go. you're not like, unless you forget how to play, the money's not going anywhere.
Especially from all these Saudi-owned clubs around the world, too. I mean, if you really wanted a lot of money, go to like fucking Newcastle.
And he also could go and get that money from a Saudi club in 8 years.
Yes. Not now.
Yes.
It's not time yet.
I agree.
You're still young. You're still really good. You're promising. Play serious soccer. And I also don't understand why any of these other clubs aren't more after him. Maybe they just refuse to meet his demands, which I think that is more of the problem. You mentioned Man U, Arsenal. If I'm Arsenal, I would be on the phone constantly with Napoli trying to figure this out. Especially, I'm like, if I'm Arteta, I know Kai Havertz has worked for the most part. But if I'm like, do I want to win the league, or do I want to come in second again? I would want to win the league. I'd want to sign him. I think he's their missing piece. They've beefed up every other position on their team. That's the one that is a little bit weak. I mean, it's such a weird situation because it seems like he's stuck in no man's land. And if I were him, I'd want to try and play for Napoli till January. Him sitting out I just don't think it's a good idea. I don't think he benefits anything from doing that. It's very unfortunate too, because you want to see this guy play. You want him on the big stage. You want him playing under the bright lights, all that stuff. And he might not be doing that for a few months. So I don't know how this is going to get resolved. Would I like him at Chelsea? Yeah, but at the same time, I don't want any more players. Like, just look, Nicholas Jackson is a lot of things, and he has a lot of, I guess, things that need fixing. But there's something there. We can't just give up on players that you want to develop.
He's had a good start to the year.
Yeah, he scored 14 goals last year. None on penalties. That matters. So I don't know what's going to happen with Victor Osimhen. I really don't. But this is a problem no one's winning this. There's no winners involved in this. This is a lose across the board.
I think in terms of this deal, if we just look at these two players individually, I think both fill needs. Again, everything is going to be kind of in limbo until we know what happens with Osimhen. Obviously, we're filming this like a couple hours before the window closes, so it could be completely different in that time. Lukaku is a player of need because, one, he's excellent working under Conte, and two, they need a number 9 because right now Osimhen is not available to them. McTominay is, again, he might fill the same role he does with United as come off the bench, give us some energy, give us the ability to maybe find a goal on a set piece, late runs into the box. But maybe he starts next to Chiesa. There's not, I look at their other options, and Lobotka's their other one right now. I know Zielinski left on a free in the summer. I think McTominay could definitely start in this team, and
Absolutely.
probably deserves to, just given what he offers defensively on the ball, as a late runner into the box. Again, I think the biggest thing with Napoli right now is this is a year of, they need to grow back into a top 4 position and secure Champions League for next season. I don't think Conte is going to have an excellent season. Napoli's going to, be the second team in Italy behind Inter. But they need to prioritize getting into the Champions League, and I think both these players help with that. So Lukaku needed a permanent. He gets that here. He gets to work under a manager who he's done well under. And McTominay is, I think, a player who maybe doesn't get enough credit for what he offers. So I think both are good signings, and it's going to get Napoli moving in the right direction.
2 things. I don't think McTominay would have moved if he was just going to be in the same position he was in at Man U. I think he's
going to start.
I think he made this move, agreed to this move with the expectation that he was going to start. Otherwise, if he was in the same spot, why move from Man U? And then on the Conte end, does he love Scottish sixes? I mean, he's going after Billy Gilmore. He's got Scott McTominay. I don't know what's up there. But man, Billy Gilmore. If he gets Billy, that's the missing piece.
I would love to see those two at a press conference together, because
Billy Gilmore, probably have Scottish national team.
No, but Billy Gilmore has the thickest Scottish accent I have ever heard of. There was this hilarious clip where it's him and N'Golo Kante together, and he read something in English, and N'Golo Kante's like, "What? I didn't understand a word you said."
Brighton does so many behind the scenes videos with Billy Gilmore. Even now, like I saw something like a week ago where Brighton released footage of him in training, just having fun.
I'm happy to be at Brighton.
Yeah.
Love the club.
I love Billy Gilmore. Such an infectious personality, a bolt of energy. I'm it's gonna be sad to lose him. But the Brighton did strengthen their sixes. So actually, you know what? That's a perfect transition. Let's get right to Brighton. Let's talk about Brighton. Georginio Rutter was the biggest move. They made a few other moves as well, getting Mats Wiefer from Feyenoord, getting Matt O'Reilly from Celtic. Unfortunately out now for a few months, looks like, because of a nasty slide tackle in the FA Cup against Crawley, who can by all means burn in hell for doing that. I'm happy they lost 4-0. That's what they deserved. But the biggest move was absolutely Rutter, who Brighton paid 40 million for. Same exact number they paid Watford for João Pedro, which is a club record fee. So Georginio Rutter, great player. They got him from Leeds. Should have said that. 16 assists last season. As a winger, can create. People, I have a Leeds friend, a Leeds supporter friend at work who's just harping on me and said this is an overpay for Rutter. He doesn't score goals. I'm like, I don't need him to score goals. I need him to create. I need creators at Brighton. We have people who can score goals. I don't need him to score. And the fact that he can create, he drew 116 fouls last season in the championship. That can be seen as a good or bad thing. And also, I believe he had the second most goal-creating actions from dribbles in the championship as well, which was impressive to see. As well as 28 shot-creating actions I saw. That's all I want to see. I don't need you to score goals. I'm not like Jacob. Just get it to João Pedro. Get it to, I hate to say it, Danny Welbeck.
Well, yeah, why need to score goals? You have a world-class striker like Danny Welbeck.
That's right. He loves to score against Man U, and he did it again this past weekend. So overall, 40 million, young player, I'm happy. How do you boys feel about this?
Yeah, so when he was brought from Hoffenheim to Leeds, I think it was 2.5 years ago, somewhere in that period. I think a lot of people expected him to be a number 9 who would just be scoring goals every week. I think his profile is kind of a little misleading from that point of view. Again, I think left-footed, kind of a number 10. I think he could play out wide too.
10 winger.
Yeah, I think that versatility alone is why Brighton wanted him. 15 or 16 assists in all competitions last season is nothing to, overlook. It's a pretty impressive season for a player who kind of does a lot of different things. 6 foot, 22. I think the price is reasonable. I don't think they overpaid by all means, and someone's got to feed the strikers. I know Brighton lost a lot of midfielders, brought in a few, but having him play in that more advanced role, whether that's as a center attacking mid or maybe a right winger, I think this is a solid bit of business from them, and I think there is a very good potential for him and João Pedro to make up a very good partnership this season that, Herzler is going to really enjoy. So smart business, a good sell for Leeds, who, we're definitely going to lose a player of that caliber after not securing promotion. I think this is a good bit of business for Brighton. Absolutely.
And the other thing too is the other reason why I brought up the fee with João Pedro. Very similar to when Brighton bought João Pedro. Very similar player prototype. Not exactly a 9, kind of a winger, 10. Like right now, João Pedro's Herzler kind of has him playing as a 10 or an inverted winger. That's kind of where he's had him. Which is different from De Zerbi, who played him straight up as a winger or straight up as a striker. So he's in more creative positions under Herzler. And I wonder if he's going to be the stoppage gap, the backup to João Pedro per se, just in case João Pedro makes a move in January or next year, depending on how he goes this season. Jacob, how do you feel about Brighton?
I think this is a good move. Anytime you get someone that had like 14, 15 assists, 14, what is it? How many assists? 16 assists. Even if it's at the championship level for a club like Brighton, I think that's a good sign. They need players. They've offloaded some players in recent years for lots of money. So I think it's time for them to invest more in that regard. I don't know how much they've invested in the back line. I think that's what they need to be spending more of their money on. You know what they should have done? They should have said to Crystal Palace, how's 77 for Marc Guehi sound?
Okay, Jacob, we're getting outrageous. No,
the point is that they've had a solid summer. They got off to a good start under a new manager, which is always a good thing. But as far as Rutter is concerned, Andrew's right. You need people that are going to give you good passes that you can score goals. I think Brighton last year kind of missed that when Matoma got hurt and some other people got hurt. I think they expect that Rutter will do this, will fill that void. And, we'll see. I mean, the championship to the EPL is a big jump. It's a bigger jump than people think. It's not a lot of guys can light it up in the championship, but once they get to the EPL, it's a different story. So hopefully that's not the case where he is ready to play in this league. And I think if you're Brighton, you want to be a little better than you want to be consistent and you want to finish strong. That would be my goal if I was Brighton. I want to finish strong and I want to get far in at least one of the tournaments I'm in.
Another signing I didn't mention who I love so far, very raw player, young Koopmeiners. They have him playing as a wing, but he assisted on the Matoma goal against Everton. And I mean, very raw player. Got him from Newcastle. He was on loan to Feyenoord last season. Very promising. Only 20 years old from Gambia. Love his pace. But good moves from Brighton. Now, the only thing holding this team back is their captain. One of the worst captains in terms of play in the Premier League. He has a great personality. I've never said Lewis Dunk is a bad person. Lewis Dunk, in terms of a leader, in terms of a personality and training, fun guy. They call him Dunky, okay? Like, the Brighton and Hove Albion official Twitter page calls him Dunky, which pisses me off because you shouldn't have that nickname when you're awful at football. But he almost conceded a penalty that they called back VAR against Everton, which had me reeling when I heard the whistle. So Lewis Dunk, don't piss me off.
Hey, that's an England international you're talking about.
He's an English fraud. And I swear, oh God, I'm gonna be shitting all over this back line. Excuse my language. I'm gonna be crapping all over this back line. Adam Webster, Igor Julio, give me a break. Igor Julio is I mean, only looking forward.
This is a who's who of who the hell is that?
Igor Julio thinks he's a winger when he's a center back. And, oh my God, the number, even against Crawley, they had him start against Crawley. Oh my God, his giveaways against Crawley were so embarrassing. So embarrassing. This back line is going to be the bane of my existence this season. And luckily, they've only conceded 1 goal through 2 matches. Really 3 matches if we count the FA Cup, or the Carabao Cup. So they're going to get killed against Arsenal tomorrow, but that's another story. Anyways, final deal we'll talk about before we get to the other rumors going around. Aaron Ramsdale getting out of Arsenal after he was blacklisted, unfairly so, by the way, by Arsenal. I think it was a little unfair.
Yeah, but were they proven right?
Knee-jerk. Knee-jerk.
Were they proven right?
Oh, yes. They were proven right,
well,
but but no
I understand.
denying,
yes,
he got what I'm saying is he got the wrong end of the stick.
Yep. Yes,
he got the wrong end of the stick.
Move, bad execution.
He goes to Southampton, who, as Christian noted before, was his childhood club. Loves Southampton. He was a supporter. 25 million, I believe, was the fee on this. Which, Southampton, they're probably going to get relegated. At least I predicted them to get relegated. I think we all did.
I think everyone, yeah.
So they're just trying to spend money for the sake of spending money, which I respect. And Ramsdale is an improvement. So it's not like they didn't make an improvement. It's a good move on their part. How do you guys feel about it?
I think the biggest thing. Sorry, Jacob.
No, you go.
Just quickly, I think the biggest thing in this deal is honestly, it's a good thing for Ramsdale more than anything else. World Cups in a couple years, hasn't been playing much. Now, and again, I think that plus we don't know who the England manager is going to be moving forward. So he's going to have an opportunity to impress whoever that's going to be. Blank slate, no Southgate. So anything to play at this point is great for Ramsdale. And then you add in he's playing for his childhood club. I think, I don't think this is going to move the needle enough for them to survive. Maybe they make a couple moves that could potentially change that in the next few hours. I don't expect that to happen. But I think the biggest thing for me, looking at this, Ramsdale gets to play with the big tournaments coming up in the next couple of years. I think that's a huge plus for him. So I think that's the biggest thing for me in this deal.
The thing that I think it's sweet that he gets to play for his childhood club, but if I'm him, I'm annoyed because I understand I'm going from Arsenal to Southampton. I understand you weren't playing for Arsenal, but I'd want to play for a little better of a club. I know I'm good enough to play for a better club than Southampton, and I just think it's going to be tough when he has to play for a club that is not very good, is fighting a relegation battle, and probably doesn't have very good defenders in front of him, and as a result, he might look worse than he actually is because he has to play with a lot of weaker players around him. That would be my concern if I was him. Is that I might not be playing that bad, but the team isn't getting results, and then part of the blame falls on me.
Well, here's the thing with Ramsdale. If Southampton gets relegated next season, he'll just get sold. He'll just get sold again to another Prem team. He's not going to the championship with them. I mean, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I think, on his part to play for his childhood club. And he probably doesn't see another opportunity where this could happen. So why not rehab yourself here for one season? If they stay in the Prem, great. You can stay with them. But if they get relegated, you're just going to get sold again. So it's okay. It's not the end of the world.
It's a good way to look at it.
He's still young enough where it's not, he's not going to end his career here. Let's just say that. Anything else with Ramsdale or? All right. We're just going to do a free for all now. We'll talk about other transfer rumors going around. I want to know Jacob's take on this Jadon Sancho situation. This is peak Todd Bowley. I love it. I love it. It's gonna be like trust me, it's gonna be like 55 million, maybe 70. And it's gonna be amazing. I can't wait.
Jacob's hurting over there.
I feel like I just got shot.
I want to know your dad's reaction if he's seen it.
Take the money and run.
He's trying to tell me that he's like, Neto's good. Why do you hate Neto so much? I go, because he's hurt all the time. That's why I don't want him. That's what I say in response to my father. I go, we can give you Ben Chilwell, but I don't want. I keep saying to him, I don't want to take your dirty laundry. Why are we bailing them out? Why? Like, we had such a great win over Wolves. We beat the crap out of them. We destroyed them. They couldn't stop us. We had a great João Felix finish, and then of course you saw him give the ball away 3 minutes later. But vintage João. But at the same time, it's like Chelsea thought we need some negative news in the air. We're not grabbing we're not grabbing the headlines enough. Let's get back on the news again. Oh, I know how we can do it. Bam. Let's have interest in Jadon Sancho. I mean, where's he gonna play? Where? What tournament? What is he gonna? What is there like? He's gonna play 3 minutes in the next Conference League game. Are we anticipating injuries? Is he gonna get to train with the other guys that aren't good enough to somehow be in the team, but are good enough, but would be good enough for other clubs like Raheem Sterling and Carney Chukwuemeka and Trevor Chalobah? Is that who he's going to train with, the under 21s? Is this just so we can get a nice? We went over 25. What do you wear? It's a good question.
99.
99. Love it.
I don't know. I haven't thought about what number he'd wear. 20.
You're running out.
I know. It's like the Yankees, but not in a good way. Let's see, 25's taken, 27's taken, 20's taken, 29's taken.
This is my point. You have too many players.
12. I don't know. We do have too many players, which is why they don't need to sign him. Why?
I don't get it.
There's no reason to sign him. It's either Osimhen or no one else.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the only guy that is worth signing.
He can wear 16. That's open.
By the time
Jacob was worried that the deal became official.
He can wear 16, 23, 26, 28.
If I'm Jadon Sancho, I get it. You're a London boy. Whatever. Why would you want to go to Chelsea?
I don't know.
You already are having a hard time playing. You think that's going to get easier? And yes, Mudryk isn't good, but I mean, do you have another destination for him? It doesn't sound like you do. I mean, if they didn't sign like 50 people this summer, if they didn't sign Neto and certain, I would consider it. But they did. They did sign Neto. They did sign João. Like, no more wingers. No more. I don't want any more wingers. Where's the transfer ban? I want it now. They're gonna have to make they're gonna have to have 2 locker rooms. I mean, what is the goal of Chelsea to try and get relegated? Because they're doing a great job.
They're not getting relegated. They're not getting relegated.
No, that's not my point. Is that it's almost like they're trying to get relegated with how backwards and stupid this method is to try and make a winner. I shouldn't be this mad because they barely got through the Conference League first group or whatever it was. They had a really nice win against Wolves in a game I thought they'd lose. I should be feeling better. But of course, why would we want our fans to feel good about anything? We have to, let's bring them back to misery. I don't understand why they want Jadon Sancho. I would I would love to ask their 85 million cronies that work in their sporting department. Please tell me why we need Jadon Sancho. I answer that. How about answer that question for me? But this board, they run and hide. They don't talk to the media. They give out 10-word sentences when they need to release a statement about anything. So I don't expect any accountability. Oh my God. When pigs fly, maybe. But Jadon Sancho, please, let him play. Go where you can play.
Yeah.
Fix your career.
I wish there was a way he could just stay at Dortmund after the last half season.
Yeah.
That really was the best spot for him.
Yeah, I agree.
But
yeah, it's a shame.
Christian, do you have any thoughts? I have some breaking news if you don't.
Give it to us.
Victor Osimhen, Al Ali, total standby. So now Al Ali is in agreement with Brentford for Ivan Toney. Medical tests have been completed. Documents are being reviewed by both clubs, but very close to getting done. Ivan Toney to Brentford. Ivan Toney to El Ali, leaving Brentford.
If you're Ivan Toney, come on, man. Like, really? It just sucks. Not that he's some world beater, but I would like to see Ivan Toney play for, I don't know, Bournemouth or Palace or a team like that. He'd be great for Palace.
Use him.
I don't really get it.
Fab just made an update on Mr. Sancho. I could read it for you. Quote, Manchester United insist on their conditions to be met on buy clause and salary coverage in order to get green light on Jadon Sancho.
No.
Not done yet. Agreement Sancho Chelsea done. Agreement Chelsea United not yet.
Don't take a flight somewhere else. Don't get in. Don't have any Wi-Fi availability. Don't do it. You know what they should do? They should take him, then they should loan him out to Strasbourg with all their other refugee players that don't
with Caleb Wiley and Georgie Petrovic. How do you feel about Georgie? How do you feel?
An absolute disgrace the way N0 Maresca has treated him. And by the way, that Kovacic goal should have been saved. I'm sorry. It should have been saved. It was a very savable goal.
I think the bigger problem with that goal was how easy it was for him to get through the midfield.
Don't get me started on their defending. All he cares about is how they are with the ball. He doesn't care about how they defend. Fofana and Cole think that they're wingers. They're going so high up the field. I'm like, what are they doing? Stay back. I shouldn't be this mad about Chelsea. I don't know why I am, but I know why, but
If you want to know how weird of a position Strasbourg's in, Caleb Wiley, who Chelsea, of course, recently signed from
Atlanta
the MLS. He was playing fullback in the MLS. Strasbourg has him playing as a winger and starting. So that's that's the position they're in. Anyways, another one of Jacob's guys. I'm going to go through some Jacob guys. Jacob loves himself from Gio Lo Celso.
That's not where I thought you were going to, but go on.
Where do you think I was going to go?
Ward-Prowse.
Oh, well, James Ward-Prowse, one of your boys, of course. But Gio Lo Celso, I want to talk about this because there's some American significance here. Gio Lo Celso going to Real Betis in La Liga from Spurs, and part of the agreement is an interesting little side thing. A Johnny Cardoso priority option. Basically what that means is Spurs and Betis have agreed on a fee for Cardoso, but they haven't they'll activate it if they want him. I believe I read the fees around £30 million. And I mean, Fab's already posted a photo, an edit of Cardoso in a Spurs kit, but it's not a done deal. It is technically a done deal. They've agreed to this fee for a priority option, but it's not like Cardoso is going to Spurs yet. If anything, it'll be a move in the winter or next summer. So a little odd situation, and the weird stipulation here too. The other weird stipulation is that if Spurs doesn't activate the clause, they still get a buy-on for Cardoso in the future. So he can never play, even if he doesn't play for Spurs. If Betis sells him to another club and Spurs decides they don't want him, they still get part of that transfer fee. It's a really weird situation. But, I mean, how do we feel about Lo Celso being moved?
He's going back to Betis.
Yep.
I mean, good for him. That's when he was pretty solid. Hasn't really worked out for him at Tottenham. I don't think he's gotten just hasn't gotten a lot of game time opportunities. I think he's talented. I just think he needs to play more and probably in a different league. But good for him. He gets to go back to a club where he had success. And as far as Johnny Cardoso, I hate the fact that he has to play for Tottenham because I hate Tottenham. Like you hate Barcelona.
Yeah.
So I wish him. I hope that he has nothing but losing at Tottenham.
Well, he might. Like I said, remember, it's not set in stone that he's going to go to Spurs.
All right, then I hope the deal falls apart.
Well, the deal, it's just an option. It's a weird option that they can activate during any transfer window. But Christian, how do you feel?
Lo Celso, it's great. Nabil Fekir, obviously a very good player.
I have not heard that name in a long time.
Yeah, well, you're not going to hear much about him because he's going to Saudi. So,
no. Who's next? Dimitri Payet?
I don't even know if he's playing. That's a great shout. Lo Celso's going to go back to Betis and play more minutes than he would play at Spurs. So I completely understand it. Still kind of involved with the Argentinian national team. So just to continue to build up his kind of resume works really well in this situation. Payet's, by the way, playing in Brazil. So, that's I didn't know that.
The one thing I don't get from the Spurs perspective is they don't have much of a bench, and they're getting rid of someone that's on their bench, and I just think that they don't have a lot of depth. That's my real worry with them. Yeah. They're very thin depth-wise, which is why I think why they might not. They might not. I think that they'll underachieve a little bit because they just don't. I don't think they have a lot of options. So that's part of the reason why I think selling Lo Celso is a little curious. If I'm Tottenham, I want to add more to your team than sell off players. But I guess they have a plan.
That's fine.
Last one I'll mention. Hold on 1 second. Let me just make sure. For a second, I clicked on Fab's account after going away for a little bit, and it showed tweets from 5 hours ago. I'm like, no, I need to go back to 1 hour ago. I need tweets from 1 hour ago. Another interesting Premier League wrinkle here. Newcastle was approaching Forest for Anthony Elanga. Forest has rejected all approaches for Anthony Elanga. So there's that. They want to stay in the Prem. Respect, but they're not. So, whatever. I don't think we'll have much to say about that. And one more thing I just noticed too. Chelsea and Ipswich Town back on for Boya.
Please get rid of him. Make it permanent.
They are in advanced talks.
Yep.
For the deal to be reactivated.
Good.
So
Ipswich had a busy summer.
Yeah.
A lot of moves.
Well, good for them. Good for them.
They need to make moves.
Yep.
And there are less competitions to worry about now because they shockingly got bounced from the Carabao Cup against, I think it was 4th tier AFC Wimbledon.
Jesus.
On penalties. So
that's bad.
Honestly, not the worst thing in the world. Because I'm not saying losing to a 4th tier side's nothing to bite about, but
Jacob just wants to win cups. They weren't going to win the Carabao Cup.
I think priority.
No, but you can't lose the first game.
I agree, but I think prioritizing all their focus towards remaining in the league is priority number 1. So, Broya would be another piece to the puzzle, and I'm sure Jacob is ready to watch him, give Chelsea another 30 million plus. So,
I would love that. He's not worth nowhere near that amount of money.
I think that was close to the fee if they stay
30 million.
The fact that they would get him for what they gave off for Lukaku is insane. But please take the 30 mil. I will.
Kept Albania alive.
Well, I'm sorry. Armando Broja is a really good guy. He's just not very good at soccer. I'm sorry. He's just not. He's not. I mean, I wish he was. I wish he was good, but he's not.
The Lewis Dunk effect.
He's also hurt a lot too. That's also part of the problem. He's hurt a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it for now in terms of deals. I don't know if Christian saw anything else. Or Jacob, for that matter.
I mean, James Ward-Prowse might be getting moved.
Right.
It's a good move for Forrest.
Yeah.
Another option.
Lopetegui's an idiot for not playing him. I don't know. The best free kick taker in the history of the Premier League. So it's also just good. He's always been criminally underrated in my eyes. I wish I would kill for him to be on my. Now, if the rumors for Chelsea want to sign Ward-Prowse, I would say bring him on down. But it's not. It's Jadon Sancho. But good for. I mean, Forest. They shouldn't be relegated if they have all these players. Like they have, but I don't know.
They're too good of a team to get relegated. We'll see if that
sticks.
Means anything in May.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta. I mean, on the West Ham end of things, I mean, getting Carlos Soler from PSG, that's
another depth
replacement. It's gonna be taking Ward-Prowse's spot probably, but I mean, this is Jacob's guy all last year, very good year, and they just
not part of the plans.
Not part of the plans. That's how it works. That's how it works in our beautiful sport. By the way, my least favorite cliche, not part of the plans.
Oh, I hate those words.
Hate it.
Imagine if like basketball, there was a new coach. It's like, what? I really just don't want this. I really don't want like Julius Randle.
Cam Reddish, not part of the plans. All right, get traded.
I mean, I have a feeling the more European coaches we're gonna have, like I wonder how much we're gonna see from Jordi Fernandez in the Nets. Of course, Jordi Fernandez, a Spanish coach,
but he coached Canada.
He did coach Canada. I love that you said manage. We're wrong sport, but it's okay.
He's stuck on soccer.
I need Jordi to say. I need Jordi to act like Pep on the sidelines for the Nets. That's all I want. I want Pep courtside on a Nets game to support Jordi Fernandez.
Well, he will when the Celtics come to town.
Right. Yeah. His beloved Celtics and his main man Joe Mazzulla for whatever reason. I saw an interview with Pep talking about his relationship with Joe Mazzulla, and he called him one of the smartest coaches in any team sport in the world. And I think I don't know. I think that roster might have something to do with it. As well.
But
I don't think he's exactly Pep Guardiola.
But he deserves credit.
Basketball baseline, but man, sad. Anyways, enough of that. Enough transfers. Let's get the best bets. I missed this. I missed best bets. Who wants to go first?
I think we give Ricardo's out first.
Let's go Ricardo. Okay. Ricardo, Brentford money line, Inter money line, parlay plus 165. This
Brentford's
week
playing Southampton.
Yep.
And Inter's playing Atalanta. Both teams are at home.
Yep. So $20 to win 33.14 for Ricardo. Best of luck to him, JK. Haha. I'll see him tomorrow. Make fun of him. Oh wait, no, he's away. Never mind. I won't see him tomorrow. Anyways, that was a oof moment for me. I guess I'll go since I just oofed. My guy, Matheus Cunha.
Oh, wait, I forgot to do this. One of the biggest frauds. No. Oh, Nicholas Jackson celebrated our win. Wow. Then he scores a goal. Then he literally somehow doesn't get a yellow card after he taunts, which is absolute bullcrap. He leaves yelling at Jackson, making fun of him. And then he doesn't get a yellow card. But who's laughing, Matheus? Because the team got rocked. Sorry, he was a big baby last week, and I have no regrets about saying that. He was.
I mean, when you have 99 shot power, you better, talk your talk. That's what I got.
You can if you win the game.
Well, they're going to win this week. They're going to win this weekend against Forest and Biggity. They're going to win. Matheus Cunha, anytime goal scorer, plus 310. Love it. $10 to win 31. Like I said preseason, I think the biggest move in January is going to be Matheus Cunha. When Wolves they're going to be in their, 14th position or wherever they're going to be on the Premier League table, and they want some money. I think Matheus Cunha is going to get them a lot. Anyways, I'm going to go with Jacob, because this is funny that you say this. You said what you said about Matheus Cunha and Wolves, and you have this going for you.
Matheus Cunha, I have no regrets about saying that. He acted like a baby last week because Nicholas Jackson celebrated his away end. Oh, idiot. Really good, but he was a big time baby last week. But yes, with all that being said, I am picking Wolves money line versus Nottingham Forest. Wolves had to play Arsenal and then Chelsea. Not a very easy way to start the season. They're due for a win. There's no way they can play that bad. I mean, they can't get much worse than the way that they played against Chelsea. So, especially the second half, which was an absolute abomination on their end. But I think they're due for a win. We're getting at plus 250. We're only betting $10 to win 25. So, folks, that means that if you lose, it's not that big of a blow to the pocket, to the wallet, rather. It's a sustainable blow that you can recover from. It's all about being responsible.
Are you sure about that?
I mean, yeah.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear. All right. By the way, I was not responsible last night. I had my first big college football parlay of the season.
Oof.
I had
Minnesota.
Don't gamble, kids.
Minnesota ruined me. I had North Dakota State plus 10.5 and the over in North Dakota State, Colorado. Both hit. Easiest hits of my life. And then I had Minnesota money line as the third and final leg of that parlay. Missed field goal. And that would have been a big win. Christian, hopefully this is a win for you. Or hopefully not in my case. I need to be on top. But what do you have?
Chelsea money line to beat Crystal Palace at home. Burnley to beat, I believe it's Blackburn, who both those teams are in playoff positions. Obviously, it's very early, but Blackburn's in good form. That's probably the leg I'm a little hesitant about, but we're going with it. And then PSG on the road at Lille to win plus 424, $15 to win $63.62.
I said we had enough about transfers. Talk about ballsy move from Burnley. Rejecting. They want $40 million for Luka Koleosho. Wolves approached them and they said only for $40 million. Little ballsy, but they want to get back in the Prem, so got to have some good players to get back. So I guess that's what's going on. Anyways, you boys have anything else?
Hopefully Osimhen gets a deal in the next couple hours. That's all I got.
Hopefully not. I don't want him in the Prem.
Who says it's maybe another Saudi club comes in late?
There you go. That's what I want to see. I want to see I want to see the Saudi league grow. If there are 4 teams all owned by the same owners, by the way. Yeah, search that up. That's funny. They're basically cannibalizing themselves. It's basically MLS. That's what it is. It really is just MLS. All under the same umbrella, but not going on the Saudi rant this week. We've had plenty of those. If that's it, boys, great episode. We'll be back next week. We'll talk some more transfers that get done later today. If there are any shocking moves, we'll talk more about the play on the pitch for our clubs. I'll be going on a rant about Real Madrid. That's for sure. That's almost for certain.
I'm sure Ricardo will too.
Ricardo will probably be a little more ballistic than I'll be. He'll be acting like an ICBM on that day. But great stuff. Great episode. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, let us know in the comments. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And until next week, peace out.